It has been too long. Welcome back. I'm Alessia Maria. If you guys don't already know, if you're new here, welcome. If you have been here before, welcome back. Make sure to subscribe if you are new here, and comment below, let me know your thoughts, and also if you have any questions or things that you'd want to see from me, content that you want me to share, because I really want this to be as much of a community as it can be. So with that, and making it a community, I am doing a Q&A today, which is something I have not done for a very, very, very long time. And honestly, I don't know why I haven't, but I like to open it up and just make sure that everyone feels like they're getting the content that they want. And if you have any questions, that I'm here to answer them. I really want this to just feel like, again, you're talking to a friend, and the way for you to talk to a friend is to get to know me. I'm just gonna go right into the questions. The first one that I got was, what's your favorite song? We'll start easy. I don't really think I have a favorite song. I'm sorry, you guys. I can't really pick a favorite song, but I can tell you that I usually have a favorite playlist at the time. I love to make my playlists on Spotify. I can link it down below if anyone's curious. But I love to make different playlists based on my mood or the season. So right now I've actually been listening to a fall to Christmas transition playlist, which it's not fall anymore. It is very much so Christmas, but I've kind of been playing that playlist on repeat still. Next one is, when did you start the podcast and Eunoia? I had the idea for Eunoia in 2019 when I had pandas disorder, which I've talked about a little bit before. I do need to make an updated video on that though. But I had the idea, or I just knew I wanted to do something to talk online about just like life in general. But I don't think it really became what it is until, I want to say 2022 maybe. And then in 2022 is when I really started to take it more seriously. Maybe it was more like 2021. And then in 2022, I actually had the idea for the podcast itself, which is the main form of what Eunoia is today. And then in 2023, at the very end, so almost a year ago, it was finally declared an LLC. I went through the process to do that, which just made it feel a lot more official for me, and take care of just, any legal stuff that could come up in the future. So yeah, I guess it's been a long process, but I guess I would say it's been more serious, and more of a thing that like I feel like I have a little bit of a grasp on now, since 2022 or 2023. How have you been taking care of yourself during a stressful time of year? Do you have any tips or tricks? It's finals right now. It's a lot. I will say, I'm going to be completely honest here, I don't really think I've done that much, because it's luckily just been less stressful for me in general, because I had 8 midterms this year. I do not know how it's possible. Do not ask me. I do not know how. I only have 4 classes. I had 8 midterms. It was a lot. And for midterms, there's not really any dedicated study days. So it was just like go, go, go. And then I knew that I was only going to get a little bit of a break, and then it would be back at it again. It was a lot. So now for finals, I only have 4 finals, which all of a sudden doesn't feel like very much to me. So honestly, I think it's just a relative, like my mindset on it has changed because I've done worse now. But in terms of how I took care of myself then and what I am just doing, I was really busy. So I definitely decided to step back from a few things that I was working on. If you hadn't noticed, there were a few weeks in the last, maybe month that I hadn't really posted as much, or I didn't get the Tuesday episode out. I was really busy, and it was getting to a point where I was really feeling very stressed and not able to get done with my main priorities. So I definitely, really decided, okay, what is it that I need to be doing right now and what can I cut back on? So I did that, and also just kind of treating myself a little bit. So lately with studying, I made a list ahead of time of all the things I need to work on and what day I'm going to work on them, so that I take it piece by piece instead of all of it all at a time. And then when I do work on stuff, I actually at the middle to the beginning of the month kind of set aside a certain amount of money for things like coffee and stuff, because I know that I focus better when I'm out of the apartment in a coffee shop, something like that. So yeah, I'm lucky that this semester hasn't been too bad. When it came to the midterms, it was a mess. I don't really feel like I coped with that very much. I think I just got through it. But in terms of finals, I think those are my main things. Just really trying to schedule the time that I'm working so that when I'm not working, I am relaxing, and I have that time scheduled as well, because I do definitely need that time to relax. That's how I feel the least overwhelmed. Kind of on the same track here, how has your semester been? Have there been any challenges, exciting moments, etc.? My semester's been really good. I've enjoyed all of my classes, which has been really nice, and it's been challenging for me this year, and I can really see what it is that I'm learning, which is really nice, because I feel like the first 2 years it was a little bit harder to see that. And in terms of challenges, yep, there's definitely, I think my workload was a really, really big challenge. I did not have enough time. And so eventually I finally had to say, you know what, I have to cut back on a few things, because I could see it in my academics and I could see it in my mental health. And I was like, you know what, it's time. I'll figure out something else to make it work, but I need to cut back on some things. That was the biggest challenge of this semester so far. And then in terms of exciting things, I've met a lot of new people this semester. I feel like in all of my classes, I have people that I really enjoy hanging out with, and that I would really, I would enjoy hanging out with them outside of class as well. And that is something new for me. In the past, I don't know, my freshman year, I just didn't spend very much time on campus. My sophomore year, I did, but I did a lot of things alone, which was what I needed at the time. I really needed that time to just figure out what it is that I'm looking for in friendships, and I really needed that time. And this year I've really gotten to get to know people and been able to figure out okay, what are these values for me, and I've just really been able to I feel like I'm really making deeper connections with people this year. And yeah, I mean, just and all my classes and just outside of classes, and I've just really been enjoying that lately. I've really been enjoying my personal free time, and also the time that is with people, and just the ability to do that. I've been really enjoying that lately. I think that would be my highlight. Okay, last college related one. Well, there's kind of one more, but how do you think about your progress academically in the second half of college now that I'm a junior? And have you changed anything about how you approach school? Grades. Definitely grades. I, in high school, really, really cared about my grades. And as I got into college, I did not worry about them actually at all when I first started. But then it got to a point, I think this semester, where for some reason I started to just suddenly compare myself, or just feel like I should be doing better. And my GPA is great, but I still had this idea in my mind that I needed to be doing better. And part of that might come from the fact that, like I said, I was so busy that I definitely saw how I knew information, but it wasn't reflected in my grades because I didn't have the time to put in the amount of work or effort or thought that was needed in different assignments and tests. So I think that's probably where this idea of grades came into my mind, because all of a sudden I got nervous about, like, what if I fail? And I won't. I will be fine. And cutting back on just everything I was doing, I saw a major change in grades. But all of a sudden, it was something that I really started to think of more. And so I guess just looking at academics before versus now, I have definitely been looking at things in terms of, am I learning? And do I feel like I have the ability to show that I'm learning, rather than just like, okay, I'm just going to get it done with and get it through with, and really applying these things to other aspects of life as well. The things that I'm learning, I feel like I'm getting to a point now that I am an upperclassman to be able to see how it's connecting to my life and how this is the kind of thing that I could be doing in my future. And just thinking too about, like, what is it that I want to do and what career paths do I want to take, and really finding what specific aspects of my majors bring me the most joy and passion. And I don't know, I've just been thinking a lot more, like, not crazy long term, but I've just been thinking about that a little bit more, and I've just been really enjoying, or allowing myself to enjoy, what I'm learning now. And I'm done with most of my general requirements, and now I'm really focusing on, like, the things that I'm passionate about. So I feel like that's how things have changed lately. Yeah, I don't know. I've been enjoying it a lot more. In terms of the actual academics, not just the being at college part. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know if that answers the question, but I feel like that's kind of where I've been. Okay, a few more Eunoia related questions now here. This one's kind of merging the two, school and Eunoia. How do you balance running a business with your schoolwork and social life? I get this question a lot, actually, from a lot of different people in my life, and just in general, because I recognize on the outside it looks like I'm doing a lot. In reality, a lot of the foundations for the podcast were set my freshman year or before I came to college. So in terms of the foundations and how things look, like, the website was it was pretty much done before I came to college. And the podcast was it wasn't like a thing yet before I came to college, but I had the general ideas of the concepts that I was talking about through Eunoia kind of set there. It's been a long process. The business part, it looks like I have a lot of it, like, that I'm working on right now, but in terms of the actual business part, it's really just recording an episode every week, getting it edited and uploaded. That's like the requirements, and the rest is all stuff that I just choose to do. I feel like it's important to have an outlet in terms of what you are doing and learning and really challenging your mind, and an outlet in relaxation, and an outlet in creativity. And those can all merge together. Like, relaxing and creativity are kind of together for me. But they also can be separate. So in terms of challenging my mind, a lot of that has to do with academics in this state of my life. And social life is a way for me to relax and also be creative. But I don't know, I'm a very creative person when it comes to visuals and thoughts. And so it's just kind of almost like an outlet for me. Other people might have things like, a lot of people I know, their outlet is going to the weight room every day. That is not me. My outlet is really this. So a lot of what you see, I mean, sometimes I'm recording an episode because I know I have to record an episode, but most times when I sit down to record an episode, I mean, it's on my schedule of things to do, but it really is an outlet for me as well. And anything that you see that is not just purely the episode is me using my creative juices. Academics, I've said this before in other videos before, but I really schedule the time that I work on stuff. I really schedule when is it that I'm going to be working, and that is a non-negotiable for me. If I have it scheduled that I'm going to be working, I am working. And I put these during hours of the day that I know that I can do that. And then by scheduling that, I also have the times that I'm not working scheduled off. And the times that I'm not working are times that I'm either just relaxing or I'm hanging out with people. So by scheduling your work times, you're also scheduling your non-work times, and that helps me balance social life and relaxation and working in terms of academics, and then working in terms of Eunoia. I mean, it's just me. So it's not like I have anyone I have to report to or deadlines or anything. So I do it when I have time, or when I'm feeling more creative or different things like that. I don't know if that makes sense, but I also will note, I am a very productive person. I am overproductive. And it's really hard for me mentally, so I want to make sure, like, I'm kind of framing it as a superpower, but it's not always. I've talked about this a little bit before, and I am not yet diagnosed. I will be figuring that out likely by December or January, I think, is my appointment. But I have been talking with my counselor a lot, and she really believes that I might have some sort of ADHD, and that my type of ADHD tends to go towards the hyperactivity portion of ADHD, in which I get over-focused, overactive. I get very, very focused on things. And that is why I've been able to sit down and really get a lot done. Honestly, it is not a superpower only, but it does have its pros, I guess. It does have its ways. Luckily, it doesn't impact me that much in my day-to-day life. If I do have ADHD, it's a very mild case. But I do want to also make sure that is clear, because it's not just like, oh, I'm just very, like, it is probably partly just the way that my brain works. And I recognize that not everyone can do that. Yeah, I hope I explained that the right way, but I guess that's probably how I do it. I think a mix of all of those things. Why did you start the podcast? And a similar question from someone else. What's your vision for the podcast? I started it because I was tired of pretending to be perfect. I knew that no one has their life together. I knew that no one's perfect, but I was really tired of feeling like they are. And I was really tired of, I personally am a very open person when it comes to just talking to people. And online, I am a photographer. I just really am attracted to just different visual things. And so I would do a lot. I would put a lot of effort into my visuals and the way that how cohesive everything is online. And so my website was very cohesive, very branded personally, and just like the brand itself, and any marketing, I had things very curated, but I hated how it made my life look curated. And I did have a lot of people ask me how my life looked so perfect all the time. And I got to a point where I was really like, you know what? It's not. So part of it was me tired of answering that question. And I decided it was time to, I had been kind of trying to figure out how I could do that for a while, how I could really show like, okay, my life is not perfect, while also still having things, in a way that makes me happy. And so one day I was just really struggling. I was jet lagged. I got back from a trip. I couldn't find food because I was in the dorm and the cafeteria was closed. So I had to go out and buy food, and I didn't really have money. So I had to go use up some of my savings for food because I'd used all my money on the trip. And it was just not the time for me. And so I sat down and I recorded on my phone how messy my life was. And then I posted it on Spotify. And that is quite honestly how the podcast started. That episode is still up. I'm sure it's horrible, but it's up. And that's my vision for it too, is that I really want to show people that no one has their life figured out. Life is messy, life is crazy. The only thing that we can do is really control what we can and choose how to respond to the messiness of life. And I don't know, it's really resonated with me. Even if no one watched the podcast, I would still continue with it because it has been so helpful for me too, to somehow just every week sit down and remind myself of that, because I deal with a lot of comparison. And by doing these episodes, I'm just bringing you through my life, the things that I've learned, the things that I struggle with, the ways that I'm learning to cope, the ways that I'm maybe not learning to cope as I should, the ways, like all of it. This is just, it's like an online diary, an online journal. And why have that be private? Why not make it public? Not saying that everyone has to, but a lot of what we keep private are the struggles, the moments where we don't feel perfect, and being so tired of people thinking that I was perfect or that things were perfect, I decided, you know what? I don't want people to feel that way. Like, I hate that I cause that feeling for people, because I was feeling that too. I'm feeling the exact same feeling. And I decided, you know what? Like, let me just be honest. Let me be honest. This is my life. I've gone through so much. I'm gonna go through so much more. And why not talk about it? I know that it's been helpful for me seeing other people do that, so I want to do it too. Okay, this one is because I am working with Rare Beauty right now. What's your favorite makeup product? Okay, I'm gonna be really honest here. I don't really wear makeup, which is ironic because I am a college ambassador for a makeup program, but I don't really wear makeup. And the reason why I'm an ambassador with it is really the mental health portion of it. Rare Beauty has a really big mental health impact, and a fund completely for it. So that's the part that I've been working with. But it is aligned with Rare Beauty, so it's kind of funny. But no, I don't really wear makeup. I guess like most days I put on a little bit of mascara, and that is it. You will sometimes see me with a tinted moisturizer, especially in the winter. And sometimes what I'll do is before bed, I'll put on just my normal lotion and then a few of those tanning drops to go with it. Just like the smallest amount, but it's enough that in the winter my face gets really ashy, so it just kind of brings back some of the color. Yeah, that's it. If I am going to use any more, I will maybe put a little bit of eyeliner on like the outer bottom of my eyelid, like this area right here, because as you can see, I have some very clear eye bags. And I don't know, putting them right here somehow makes it even out. It just makes it feel like I have less bags under my eyes than I do, but those are very genetic, so I've learned to just kind of deal with them. Yeah, sorry, I wish I had a better answer. How to handle anxiety episodes. For those of you who don't know, actually, I don't think anyone knows this because I haven't really talked about it online. I do get panic attacks. I get medical panic attacks. A lot of times they come out with absolutely no rhyme or reason. I will just be doing something, minding my business, doing my thing, and get a panic attack. So I actually do have a medication for that, which is a lot of times if it really is sudden, and like without anything that prompts it, like I have a medication for that, because the reality is sometimes people who don't have anxiety at all will just get panic attacks, and like there's nothing that prompts that. There's nothing that you can really do to prevent it from happening in the short term. But I also do have anxiety personally, and so sometimes I'll get more like anxiety attacks where something kind of triggers it. And those do not happen unless I am dealing with my PMDD. So y'all are getting a whole rundown of my medical issues here, but I have PMDD. So basically, if I do not take my medication, I will get, around the time of my period, I will get, or, you know, because it's PMDD, like 2 or 3 weeks out of the month, will be pretty non-functional. It's pretty severe. And I will have anxiety attacks almost every single day. So usually that is controlled because I have my medication. Recently I got in a little bit of a fight with insurance because they didn't approve my medication when they needed to, so I was off of it for a few days. That was not fun. But in general, medication has been really helpful for me because I do have just some anxiety in general, but the majority of it stems from other health issues. But when those episodes do come up, the things that I do, I really, really focus on breathing. I really, really focus on figuring out how, like, what patterns do I notice when it is starting, and can I prevent it from happening? Because when you are getting anxious, it's kind of like a snowball effect. And at least what I've learned with it is that if you let it snowball, it gets worse to a point where it's really hard to break that up and get it to stop. But if you can tell when it's coming on, then it's a little bit easier. So things that I will do when I can tell that my anxiety is coming on is I will do a lot of things like distracting myself. I will get myself out of the apartment and distract myself. I will watch a show maybe. I will drink some tea, something that makes me feel relaxed. I'll make sure I've eaten. Sometimes I forget to eat and that can make it worse. I'll make sure I took my medication. And sometimes I truly sometimes will just let myself feel a little anxious, because I think what I have noticed is that I get more anxious when I try to run away from it. And if I let myself feel the emotion, sometimes it'll just kind of go away by itself pretty quickly, and other times it won't. And then I sit down and I do my best to accept the fact that, yes, I am anxious right now, or I am not feeling great right now. This is a reality. What can I do to make the best of it? What can I do to cope? And sometimes that means I'm going to just be nice to myself the rest of the day and watch a show. Maybe, not do anything that requires that much effort. Other times that means I am going to push myself a little, to be productive, to get out, to do something, to maybe be around people. And you kind of just play it by ear. It's really been, trial and error, figuring out what works and when, and I've kind of been able to find the patterns of different types of anxiety that I'm feeling, different reasons for it, different ways that it might start, and kind of doing my best with it. But I've learned to work with it instead of against it, and I think that has been the most helpful thing, because working against your anxiety is only going to make it worse. And that took me way too many years to realize. I am still learning it. It is really hard for me to do that, but I've been working on it, and I feel like I have seen a big improvement to that extent. And then the last one, what are you most excited for with the holidays coming? I'm excited for snow. I really enjoy snow. I hope that it continues to snow before Christmas. There's not that much on the ground right now. There's not really much at all. And I guess I'm just excited for that cozy feeling. Our family has done the same thing for Christmas my entire life. And so I just really love that feeling of, like, it's comfortable, it's what I'm used to, I don't know, I just really love that, and I just love the coziness that comes with the holiday season. And it's also going to be kind of a big, transition point for me, because after, right around Christmas is the time when, okay, it's, we're coming on to the new year, that's coming up, and then there's going to be a lot of changes that come around for me in the new year. So it's just there's going to be a lot of transitions for me, but I'm excited, and so I'm just looking forward to a lot of different things, and I feel like there's a lot to come in the next 6 months. So yeah, it's probably my most honest answer there. This episode is kind of long. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope I answered any questions that you had. I will be back next week, and have a cozy day.